Hello, everyone. I'm the Vacuuminator.
I'm Buster.
And this week in Tokusatsu, we're going to be discussing 2 weeks worth of news, 2 weeks worth of new releases, and 2 weeks worth of whatever the hell else we do on this show. But before all that, Buster, how you doing?
I am okay? Question mark. It's college finals week.
Oh, good lord! I've heard horror stories. I've never been through those, but
just one semester worth. It's not that bad. Currently I'm like it's honestly that's not really what's on my mind. I am working on like that stuff, but it's like other stuff is coming up, videos to do, friends to make, friends to remake.
Yeah, my schedule is kind of booked through the middle of January at the moment, so I'm in a very similar state of mind, I guess. But yeah, in case you didn't notice, we were off last week unexpectedly, and that's because I had a personal tragedy in the family. I don't want to get too much into it here. We talked about it on Components this week, which will be up on Friday, and I've been very open about it on Twitter. So if you want to know about that and why we were off, just know it was a very important thing. And if you want big juicy details, you can go follow me at the Vacuuminator on Twitter. But for those of you who do know what's up, I'm doing fine now. I'm ready to be back to all this insanity. And honestly, after my first full day back at work, I feel like it was the right decision to not hold off any longer. It was really good. Because I have the kind of job where I can kind of just shut my brain off for large swaths of time and just think about stuff, and I've had to be so present and in the moment for the last week and change that honestly felt like a huge relief. So I'm doing pretty good right now, and I'm happy to be back in the thick of things. And you know, if you want to stay in the thick of our things, you can of course support this show by, if you're listening on YouTube, give us a like, comment down below, and let us know what you've been up to in the last 2 weeks. Subscribe and ring that bell in order to enable notifications to get every episode of TWIT and all the other modular media podcasts as they come out. If you're listening on an actual podcasting platform, please follow us there, because that's going to help us out in that algorithm. And to keep up with things like, hey, we're not going to be putting out an episode this week unexpectedly, follow us on Twitter at the Modular Media, because that's where we announce stuff like that. And also our secondary source for that is our subreddit, r/modular media. But that's all the shilling we have to do for now. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Buster, do you want to just go ahead and jump right into the news?
Yeah, we do rapid fire on these first two, because I don't think we got much to think we got.
Well, we had the announcement, but now we have the full solicitations for the SH Figuarts Ultraman Reboot, which is marketed after it's marketed after Ultra Galaxy Fight, but it is primarily coming out to coincide with his recent appearance in Ultraman Trigger. You know, I remember saying a few weeks ago after those episodes aired, I was really into Reboot again, and I was kind of tempted to get a Figuart of him or some kind of figure of him. And hey, Bandai was listening to the show, because here it is. And yeah, I'm kind of considering putting my money where my mouth is, because this thing looks really good.
Looks like an Ultraman Reboot.
And then also another Figuart that got solicited this week, quite surprisingly in my opinion, we're getting SH Figuarts, the Unfettered Shogun, who, for the uninitiated, is the movie-exclusive character from Kamen Rider O's Wonderful, the Shogun, and the 21 Core Medals, which was the movie for that season of Kamen Rider, which I still have not seen. So I saw this get solicited, and I was just like, what? I mean, that looks like a neat samurai figure, but what?
Well, I think this is like, apparently he already had his own show. This is just he appeared in O's.
Oh, okay.
Like, he apparently had like a show running for 30 years. He's not like a movie exclusive character. That was more of just like a random crossover. Like, hey, that would be fun.
So he's probably like a fairly well-known celebrity in Japan on the level of like some of the comedians they get in to play bit parts in Kamen Rider.
Yeah, like that.
Mhm.
Pretty cool. Pretty nice how they got like they like it looks pretty accurate to what I've seen. I like they got like some images with O's forms.
Yeah, it looks like a fairly solid figure for what it is. You'd think it wouldn't be all that maneuverable given how bulky some of the clothing is and the fact that it's all sculpted plastic rather than soft goods. But this thing actually looks fairly posable. So like if you've been wanting just a good generic samurai figure and you don't care about Kamen Rider O's or this character, I'd say this is still probably a pretty neat pickup. I, however, have no interest in it whatsoever because I do like O's, but as I said, I haven't seen this movie, and I didn't know this guy was a thing outside of Kamen Rider until just now.
Maybe if you read the article.
Well, I've been busy.
Yeah,
But let's get into some media news. We now have a proper trailer for Kamen Rider Beyond Generations, and it looks like a movie.
yeah, a pretty cool movie because it's combining Saber and Revice, and they're gonna do some time travel with like the Kamen Rider of the 2071, a century, which was a joke Shirakura made like years ago. I like honestly, this looks more like a Revice story. I have no idea what the Sabercast is doing there. I love to see them, but I'm like, how are they gonna connect this back to Saber?
I feel like they might just be there to have more actual face riders in the movie.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's gonna feel like the Go Busters being in that big Dino crossover.
Hopefully a bit better because they do seem to get like some nice like actual fights instead of like the Go Busters like 2 fights.
Yeah.
There is, and we get some villain riders, and there's a like we see some like suits of like riders past, and there's like a rumor going around that those like the characters we know are gonna take up those suits, so that'll be some pretty cool fan service.
Yeah, especially because one of them is frickin' Zeto.
Yeah, I wonder who's gonna be Zeto. I think if one of the Saber riders is Zeto, I'm gonna like mark out.
Also, first appearance of the Kamen Rider Sorcerer suit in a long time.
Yeah, is that from the movie?
That's from Kamen Rider Wizard in Magic Land. He was the big bad of that movie.
Also, we see an old 100-year-old George. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Oh man, George has been such a fun character so far.
Yeah, he's getting really some good moments. Although, like, weird note, why are they using Hyper Muteki when everyone else is in base form? Is the X-Aid suit just not available this week?
Maybe it was undergoing repairs that day.
Yeah, because it's like we've seen the X-Aid suit in like other 20th anniversary material.
But to be honest, I would rather like a weird inconsistency like that than like have you seen that one shot from Heisei versus Showa of Kamen Rider Black that doesn't look too great?
No.
There's like a split second in Heisei versus Showa where just randomly there are the worst pit stains I have ever seen on the Kamen Rider Black suit. And it's really distracting. It's one shot. Like, not in the entire rest of the scene does Black look that way, but it's really weird and jarring if you're looking for it.
Maybe it's probably not that noticeable for I haven't really seen it, but
yeah.
Speaking of Revice.
Yeah, the Deadmans are getting a DX release for all of their Vice stamps. The GIF Junior Vice stamp, the Giant Squid, and the Wolf, which is the Vice the stamps that the 2 male bad guys use to transform, and the one that Aguilera, I think is how you pronounce her. Sorry, Aguilera, that's right.
I might be right. I might be wrong. I might be right.
But that's the stamp that she's trying to use to reawaken Gift Sama.
Gift Junior.
Yeah, and these are not just going to be usable in your Revice driver for transformation purposes, but they will also have lines spoken by the actors from the show in them. And they are, of course, a premium Bandai release.
What you gonna do?
Yeah, like this is a thing where it's like I'm kind of okay with it being a premium Bandai release because I don't see every kid in the world wanting these, and also the actor lines kind of justify the premiumness. But there's been a trend of premium Bandai releases this year, and we'll talk about that more as we go on.
Yeah, I can put a pin in that thought.
Yeah. But moving on to some Sentai news really quick. The full solicitations for Shodo Super Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger have been revealed, and it looks like about what you'd expect for a Shodo set. It's
very shiny.
Yes, very shiny, highly articulated, but also highly gappy, well detailed, including the new upgrade parts from Tengo Kaiger and a bunch of other well-needed accessories. It looks like a fairly solid set. It's just, I think I've talked about this a couple times before. Shodo just doesn't quite fit in with my aesthetic taste. It's a little too small. Yeah, it's a little too small, and I don't like the fact that a lot of the details are stickers, even if they are really good stickers.
Well, that's fair. I'm not sure if I'll pick it. I hope they release figures like that SH Figuart for size backup. I hope they go Kaiger like the 10 go.
I mean, we already know we're getting Shinshoku Seiho Gokai Red, and I would not be surprised if, in order to incentivize buying them all, Gokai Red comes with his bit of the cross armor. And then they do the other 5 and have them come with all their bits of the cross armor, and you can interchange them all onto Gokai Red.
Hope so. Speaking of Sentai, we got a teaser.
Yeah, we have our first look at the main hero of Avataro Sentai DonBrothers. And it's just a silhouette, but it's a very interesting looking silhouette because
like the two pads.
Yeah, the two main details you can notice, shoulder pads and what looks like a ball beanie head.
Yeah, there's like a I like the silhouette. I just don't like. We're not getting into rumors, but I'm kind of hesitant on DonBrothers.
Yeah, there's been a lot of DonBrothers rumors since this image surfaced, and some of them I'm intrigued by, some of them I'm not so intrigued by. But we're not gonna talk about any of those rumors in detail until they're confirmed on this podcast.
Or until they're deconfirmed, and then we'll be like, well, we thought this was going to happen, but this happened instead.
Yeah, but for now, I'll just say DonBrothers is looking interesting. And what else is interesting is, hey, SDCC happened this year. I barely heard anything about it outside of the thing we'll talk about, but it did happen.
Like, this wasn't the actual SD, it was just like, hey, it's a special edition.
Okay, that's weird, because, like, fucking Toku Nation on Twitter was talking about it like it was actual SDCC, so I was like, you're the only person I see talking about SDCC.
Well, here's the thing. Toku Nation and other parties relating to Team Rider were hyping this up big time. And I was like, ugh, no, you've already disappointed me many times before. This isn't gonna... Granted, this is a cool thing. However, before we get into what that thing is, apparently it was approved less than 2 days before it was officially shown.
Yeah, that's in this article, so we'll get into that. But the thing we're talking about is Stonebot Comics, a publisher I've never heard of before this announcement, is going to release the Kamen Rider Kuuga manga, and will be doing an original Kamen Rider 01 graphic novel series.
Or the West.
Yeah. So this is a very interesting announcement because, like you said, a lot of news outlets were hyping up, oh, hey, there's going to be a Team Rider announcement at SDCC. What could it be? But then this comes, and it's a publisher I've never heard of before, and I'm sorry, I've been busy. I didn't bother to look into them before this recording. So they could have done some neat stuff in the past. I just don't know. But we also find out after this announcement that, like, I thought it said in this article.
No, it's in the interview article, which comes next. But like, this is just like, this is what you're getting.
Yeah, the announcement was approved like less than 2 days before this, which I don't know if that means announcing it here was approved or the actual deal was finalized. Because with how official and everybody's got to sign off on everything Japan is, it could be either way.
Yeah, I think it's I'm pretty sure like talks were, but just either way, just this is that was way too risky of them. Like that could have like easily just proved my right. But
the Kuuga manga I am interested in just because I knew there was a Kuuga manga, but I'd never heard anyone talk about it.
Well,
like I have translated it. Yeah, I have no idea if it's good or it's bad, so I'll be interested to check it out.
Like it. I think it's popular enough. It was popular enough that it got into Overquartzer.
Yeah, that's right. That's how I know about it, is its cameo in Overcourtser.
Yeah, which honestly, that was one of the best scenes in that movie.
But, okay, the elephant in the room. An original story based off of Kamen Rider 01 in American comic
First
form.
request. Don't get Kyle Higgins. I know it's tempting because he did all the other franchises. Don't. For the love of God, get someone else.
Yeah, I like Kyle Higgins. I think he's done a lot of really good work, but don't make him the Tokusatsu comics guy.
Yeah, there's so many other writers, diverse writers I might add, that like love Tokusatsu and want to tell stories with those tropes. And
Like, honestly, I have no idea if she has any kind of relationship with Stonebot. Oh, I'm sorry, I've been saying Stonebot. It's Stonebot comics. But I have no idea if she has any kind of relationship with them. But my immediate pick is I would love to see Kelly Thompson's take on Kamen Rider. She's a writer that's working in current comics right now. I've really dug a lot of her work, and I think she might have something interesting to say with Kamen Rider.
Yeah. Now, the question is about the 01 original, is this going to be an adaptation or an expansion?
What kind of adaptation are we talking? Is this going to be in the show's continuity? Is it going to be taking place before or after? Is it going to be between episodes? Like, there's so much to wonder about with this.
Is it going to be a retelling?
Yeah. Oh my god, imagine if this is the frickin' sequel trilogy adaptation comics, but for Kamen Rider.
Dang. Just like that, those like movie adaptation comics Linkara covers occasionally.
Yeah, but the thing with the Star Wars sequel trilogy comic adaptations, they were literally just a direct translation from screen to page. Like, nothing was changed at all.
Dang.
So it was like almost worthless to pick those up.
Yeah, still sold well because Star Wars fans are the most insane people I know next to Kamen Rider.
Thanks, buddy. But yeah, so outside of that, there was also a full summarization of the panel, so I'll just go ahead and run through these bullet points real quick. They, of course, started with a brief history of Team Rider. All the Heisei and Reiwa belts were on display. The actual props were sent by Toei. They got, there was some Q&A, the announcement started off with, how can you support if you can't purchase? Social media posts, do surveys, stream Tokusatsu for free. They announced there are new shirts coming to Amazon soon. There will be a Kamen Rider Gaim shirt, a Kamen Rider Reverse shirt, and a Kamen Rider 50th Anniversary shirt. If they're good, I might pick up the Revice and 50th Anniversary shirts, but then I have still yet to pick up the shirts I wanted from the first round of shirts, because money. They talked about premium Bandai US releases that are coming, the V bracelet and the Tamagotchi 50th Anniversary. They announced the comics that we just talked about, and again... Okay, it says approval for announcement came only 30 hours ago, which says to me the deal has been in the works for a long time, but they probably only just the other day got the go-ahead to do the announcement.
That's still really risky, especially if you're hyping this up.
Yeah. We got some news about Tokusatsu. Kamen Rider 01 is going to be available for streaming January 1st, which we knew it was coming in January, we just didn't know what exact day. More to come soon, especially outside of the big free. So interesting. I wonder what kind of shows we could be seeing. But
please. I have no idea who owns the rights to Dogengers, but give me a US release. I want to watch.
I would love to be able to watch. If we're going for like classic stuff, I really want to be able to watch Aquamizer Free and Zubat in full.
Oh yeah, Zubat would be just like Pokemon.
They had some details about the Kamen Rider 01 Blu-rays, which is that they have removed the interlacing. It will be hard subs, and they are using the original audio masters from Toei, so it should sound better than your fan subs. Then they went
the interlacing thing. This was a whole. I'm not sure if you knew about it. So apparently, the reason they removed interlacing, these are the TV rips of the episode. These aren't the Blu-ray rips from the 01 Blu-ray, which is kind of Toei. They do this with Dragon Ball and Funimation, but like
that's an interesting choice.
This is a Toei thing. This isn't a Tokusatsu.
Honestly, but Honestly, I only kind of understand what interlacing is. I need to read up on that again.
It's just like quality, like, pictures blending in, simplest way I can describe it. But then we get the Q&A, which is the most eyebrow-raising part.
Yeah, so question 1, American adaptation of Kamen Rider, is it possible? The team responds, do you want an adaptation or do you want an original creation? Answering a question. Thanks, guys.
It sounded very passive-aggressive, the way this just comes across very like, do you want...
Which is a fair statement to say, but also we should keep in mind this is a second-hand summarization of the panel.
Yeah, I mean, there might be some bias.
Can we get more series on Blu-ray? If 01 does well, we can approach it. We've talked about maybe a box set for the original series, but we're a small company, so we need to see the return on what's already being done, which, again... Yeah, that does sound kind of passive-aggressive, but I get it. It's been a
lot passive to me. That makes sense.
Yeah, and like it's been so long just getting Toei to do this. I feel like, as we've talked about before, since it got announced, that 01 Blu-ray needs to sell like hotcakes so Toei can understand there's a market for this.
And it already, like, the pre-orders sold out. Like, first wave of pre-orders sold out. That's a good sign. They're back up, but that's a good sign already. Although, like, maybe with the subs come out, we might see a decline in pre-orders. That's just doomsday.
Fingers crossed. Is there any way we can ask for specific seasons or series to be brought over? The response is, use our social media channels. I can tell you I've gotten a ton of requests for Dragon Knight, followed by Metal Heroes, but we talk to our own departments and Toei and come up with a plan after that.
Okay, so the fact that Dragon Knight is in consideration and Metal Heroes, that's good. That's good. Also, actually, there's something I forgot to mention in the last question. They said, we're a small company. Maybe, like, I wouldn't say Shout Factory is small, like, definitely smaller compared to Toei, but they worked with Disney on Gravity Falls.
I have to, like, part of me assumes that they're referring to just Team Rider.
Yeah, like, but, like, Shout Factory, they've done a lot. They do MSTJK, they do other series on Shout, they work with Nickelodeon,
up until, like, Robots in Disguise 2015, they were doing all the DVDs for Transformers.
Yeah. And I think they still do the movie.
What about maybe dubbing a series? Yeah, I'm sorry, I really hate those.
Yeah, that's the big yikes.
That is the most, like, I appreciate the honesty, but wow, that's unprofessional.
Yeah, that's bad. Like, I mean, yeah, dubs aren't the greatest, especially with live-action shows, but come on, they're accessible. You just tell someone, oh, this is in English. Sure, yeah, I don't want to, like...
even if we were bringing over the, oh god, I forget what country it is, but there's some, like, Eastern Asian...
Malaysia?
Yeah, even if it was bringing over the Malaysian dubs, I'd be down for that. Because, like, I've watched the first 10 episodes of the Malaysian Wizard dub, and that was fine.
The Kabuto dub, yeah, that has some meme stuff, but it was still cool.
What about action figures outside of SH Figuarts? The team been working on / fighting for those. The same department that does RKFs does DX belts. So if the DX belts do well, it opens the door to potentially get RKFs out here. I think that's promising and exciting news, but also, like, I feel like the main thing people would want is things like Shodo. Like, Shodo seems to be the really popular retail level Rider figure line over here these days. Any plans to do Kamen Rider movie releases in theaters via Fathom events? What about special episodes or movies for already streaming properties like Ryuki? I love that this question got asked, because, like, fuck, I would have loved to see a Rider movie in the theaters, even if it's a Rider movie I don't like. And the response is...
Superhero Tyson on theaters, and I'll eat it up.
The plan for Heisei Generations Forever was actually to have it in theaters, and then the pandemic happened. As the world gets back to normal, it can be revisited. As for Ryuki's special episodes or movies, if we were to do a physical release of the series, that is something we would then look to include, but currently no plans to stream it.
I have some, because, like, a big part of Ryuki is the alternate endings, at least to me, like, especially post-mortems. So the fact that we don't have much extra content in the US, really,
Yeah, I've always heard that, but like I'm unfamiliar with Ryuki, so I don't feel comfortable offering an opinion either way. And the final question is, fans from Mexico want Kamen Rider but don't have access to watch it. Is there any plans to expand? And the team responds, yes, been looking into expanding into new territories, but we have a lot of properties and we can't just drop in and go. We have to acquire the rights to those territories, and Latin America is one area that I think we would want to move into, as Toei has a strong presence in a lot of those countries. I wouldn't expect anything in the next year. Excuse me. I wouldn't expect anything in the next year, but definitely in the next few years. I would say there's a really good chance. That is super exciting.
I hope. I hope like UK, because I know neutrals that really want the other stuff. So.
Like, all I hear whenever there's a Team Rider announcement is like a bunch of Americans going, "This is so exciting, Kamen Rider in the West," and then a bunch of UK people going, "Kamen Rider in America and Canada. We exist too." So hopefully, fingers crossed. But I think this is the final thing from SDCC. We have our first look at the Furai model, original Dino Megazord. And honestly, I'm a little underwhelmed because, like, yeah, it's a great
Dino Megazord.
What?
Just looks like a Dino Megazord.
Yeah, it doesn't have any like there's kind of a little bit in how small the waist is, but like there's not a lot of the stylization I normally associate with Furai model via their Transformers releases.
This is like a prototype. Maybe they're working.
I don't know. Hopefully it'll be cool, but as it is, it just doesn't look super exciting to me as someone who, A, isn't into model kits, and B, just doesn't think this looks like a particularly exciting new take. But what is an exciting release is that we now have solicitations for SH Figuarts, Kamen Rider Slash, Hanselnuts
to Gretel.
Okay. Yeah, the Saber Rider that I've always said looks really neat. He's getting a Figuart soon, and it looks.
He's like my favorite design in the show, so I'm like, I want that.
Yeah, it looks pretty good, and I'm just double checking here. Okay, this is Premium Bandai.
Dang it.
So it will run you looks like approximately $70 for this. And it's releasing in March of next year. So I don't know. I'm tempted to pick this up. This is like even though I don't like the character, like I kind of put this suit in the same place as like Kamen Rider Skull for me. It's like I haven't seen the show, but that's such a good suit that if I ever came across the Figuart in person, I'd have to pick it up. So like very, very cool little announcement, but not such a great announcement is the Kamen Rider Revice DX Libra driver, which is the driver for Kamen Rider. Have we decided on the pronunciation? Is it Janae?
I think Janae. We'll go with Janae.
Okay. Sakura's rider form. Her driver is going to be a premium Bandai release. I'm not happy about this. I could justify it with the fucking, what is his name? Demons? The Demons driver?
Yeah, and like LED.
And like it seemed like it was a character who probably isn't gonna last that long, or may get another transformation device later, because he's getting beat up a whole ton. But I'm pretty sure Sakura's gonna stick with the same driver for the whole show. And so far, she's the only female rider in the show, and as we'll get into it more later, but I honestly think she's probably the best female rider, period, so far. So to see her driver be locked behind the premium Bandai Pay window, and be priced at approximately $80 is pretty ridiculous in my opinion.
It also sucks for the kids in Japan who actually want to use the toy.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. Like, with the Demons driver and the Deadmans Vice stamps, you can kind of justify, like, okay, maybe not every kid wants to get those. But you look at this and it's like, this is a character that I'm sure a lot of little girls would enjoy, or even a lot of little boys would enjoy. And they're not going to be able to get the driver unless their parents are willing to shell out that premium Bandai money, which is pretty sad, honestly. Like,
you know,
I get it, Toyman.
He's getting like the plushie. I think we have the news here. She's getting the plushies, so it's like,
and like I get like it's like I kind of have the same thing I have with this as I do with a certain HasLab project I've been ranting a lot about on Twitter. I understand why they're doing it this way because all toy companies have been having a rough couple of years. But it's really ridiculous from the outside looking in, even having that sort of insider toy knowledge that I like to boast about from time to time.
Also, remember when before Revice premiered, most of the toys actually sold out.
Yeah, it's really
you have the money. It's selling well. So it's like Rider is a guaranteed banger. There's no reason to do this.
Yeah, it's really upsetting. Like, And I'm saying that as somebody who doesn't even want this toy pre-knowing that it's premium Bandai. Like, it just doesn't look like that exciting of a toy to me. I like the character, but, like, that puts me in a place of I'd pick up a figure of her before I'd pick up the belt.
Yeah. Like, why have all belts? This, like, I'm sorry, like, this is not an insult to the character. This is, like, the most elite show.
Yeah, because it's a tiny little belt, and all it does is turn, open up, and say 2 sets of sounds.
I mean, they're good sounds. It's not worth.
All right, let's get away from that and get into probably one of the more awesome announcements we've gotten in the last 2 weeks, which is that Maito Fujioka, the son of Hiroshi Fujioka, is going to play Takeshi Hongo in Kamen Rider Beyond Generations.
Specifically the 1971 version, Young, which is super cool. And he looks super dope.
I doubt he's going to be in the whole movie. Like, from what we see in this little video that's in the article we're going to link with all the rest of the news articles down in the podcast description, it looks like the movie's probably going to open with a flashback to 1971.
I feel like he'll just be, like, sprinkled in, like, just, like, little cameo bits while we focus on Revice and Saber.
And I mean, like, Hiroshi is on set, so, like, a part of me, like, wishful thinking is, like, open it with, like, a teaser of, Maito as Hongo fighting Combat Man and stuff, and, like, maybe see him get confronted by, what's 2071's writer name? Sorry? Oh, yeah. Okay, so he gets confronted by Sentry, and then maybe have Hiroshi show up as Old Man Hongo towards the end of the movie.
Oh, yeah. Like, also, request, if the past and present each other, have the older guy use the Ichigo suit.
Oh, yeah, that would be awesome.
That's the only request I got. Or you can use the old suit. Still isn't subbed yet. Take your time, fans.
Yeah, but yeah, I think this is honestly an inspired casting choice. And he looks... he doesn't look exactly like his dad did way back when, but he looks close enough, and the suit just looks great on him. So I'm pretty down with it, and like, you know, I'm one of those people who I was like, let's not force it on the kid, but I would be down for him playing a future writer in his own right, because that was a thing going around a while ago when we found out that his son was getting into acting. Was everybody going, oh my god, he's going to be Kamen Rider in a few years?
And I think he'll do like his, and like, well, like he's kind of at the stage where he's kind of getting from his dad with like the Sega Tanshiro. He was like a new version of for like a Sega anime.
Yeah,
that's all I got.
Yeah. Very exciting news, and hey, news about news. There's going to be another Ultraman Connection live event. Ultraman Connection Live Holiday Special has been announced, which will be taking place in just a couple of weeks on December 17th at 8 p.m. EST, and it will feature appearances by the returning host, Sean Nichols, and we will also be having an appearance from Runa Toyota, who plays Yuna in Ultraman Trigger. And there will probably be some Trigger-related announcements, as well as them live streaming episodes 1 from 20.
Also, they're going to show never-before-seen footage from Ultra Galaxy Fight, The Destined Crossroad.
Yeah.
I would have that announcement.
So, fairly exciting, but not really a lot to talk about, because it's just news about news. Moving swiftly along, though, we have the official solicitations for the DX Cyclotron driver, which is going to be another premium Bandai release. But again, this is one that I think is kind of justifiable because it's a movie writer that maybe that we don't know exactly how much screen time he's gonna have. But this is the driver for Kamen Rider Century, and it's gonna run you about $60 because it doesn't actually have a whole lot of functionality. It has a few different sound sets and some different lights, and it's honestly a really plain design. I'm not into
like
this
a
thing.
typhoon trapped like a condom.
Condom Typhoon, let's go.
I guess that's what the futuristic thing, and I feel better.
It fits in with the rest of the suit's aesthetic, but it just doesn't look that cool in its own right. Like, if I saw this thing on a shelf, I wouldn't get excited about it.
Now for the last minute news I told Vac about.
Yeah, thanks to @MartianRanger on Twitter, we have found listings for some Power Rangers Dino Fury Season 2 toys, which is, if I can get them open. First up, we have a couple of new cycles. The Power Rangers Dino Fury Rip and Go Tricera and Sabretooth Battle Rider, which come with their respective Rangers and look like very much the kiddie end of the spectrum, which isn't bad. You know, that's very valid. Power Rangers is here to sell toys to kids, so they look fine for what they are, but they don't look like things that would interest me.
I'm kind of miffed that this is the first solicitor we're getting for a retail release for Green.
Yeah,
I know it's coming later, but not fun.
Yeah. That I hadn't actually caught on to that. That's a good point, especially because like the figures that come with bikes, and it's no exception here. They always have less articulation than the single releases,
and less.
Yeah, it's basically an old 5-point style Kenner figure, but in the current house style for 6-inch Power Rangers figures.
On more cooler stuff, we got
the Power Rangers Dino Fury Dino Knight Morpher, which is going to be the US version of the Morpher for Max Ryusou Red.
Yeah, which is one of the coolest suits in Sentai. I'm very happy to adapt it. Yeah,
and it looks like a pretty solid toy. Actually, judging by the pictures on the back of the box and the functionality that shows, it might actually be better than the regular Dino Fury Morpher as a toy.
Yeah, although I don't think you can actually get some cool sound by having it.
That's neat. Yeah. Fairly solid announcements, and hey, it's just a nice reminder that Season 2 of Dino Fury isn't that far off now, because we're almost into 2022, and the first half is supposed to drop sometime within the first quarter of 2022.
Yeah, I wonder how we're going to cover that.
We'll figure it out when we get to it. That's my official stance. All right, and our final bit of news this week is Iron Studios has announced a new addition to their line of MMPR statues. Alpha 5 will be another piece you can add to your, God, I completely blanked on that name. Command Center diorama of statues that they've been releasing. We talked about these way back, I think, during the first Dino Fury hiatus is when these got announced.
Yeah, it was like the beginning of the hiatus.
Yeah, and like it looks as solid as all those other ones, but again, these are super expensive statues, and I'm not a statue guy, so definitely not something I'm gonna pick up.
You're getting to the actual exciting part of the show?
Yeah, that's all the news that's fit to print, folks. So, Buster, take us on to the new releases.
Quite a bit, because we missed 2 weeks, and we got a couple movies. Pirate Sentai 10 Gokaiger. So I didn't see it yet, but I'm in the process.
Just to clarify for the listeners, you have seen Gokaiger before. You're just rewatching it, right?
No, I've actually not before. I have I've watched episodes, but I've never gone to the. I'm currently in the.
Well, make that your priority.
Well, I have to do Kamen Rider 1971 because of my new Ko-Fi.
That sounds like a personal problem.
No, it's people paid me to do that.
Again, sounds like a personal problem. So no, this movie was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. It was everything I wanted, except for one little nitpick quibble, which is kind of a spoiler, but kind of not a spoiler.
Okay.
But we talked about it several times on this podcast, wanting it to happen. Zox Goldstrucker is not in this movie.
Dang it!
Which is a little disappointing. Yeah, it's a little disappointing. I was really hoping, like, there's one scene in specific where I was going like, oh, this would be a great spot to have Zox just show up for a minute and hand them the Zenkaiger keys and do a Gokai change with them, and it just doesn't happen. It doesn't feel like it's missing, like the way the film is paced. It's not like there's a spot where, oh man, this was clearly supposed to be here. It's just my thinking like, oh, you could have stuck it in here. And that's kind of the thing overall I have with that is like, okay, it's not the movie's fault that he's not in it. It's my fault for having that expectation.
And my fault for giving you that expectation.
Yeah, it would have been awesome if he was in there. We're getting a Zenkaiser key in the Memorial Mobirates release, but they don't use that in this movie. That's a toy exclusive key right now.
They did see all the other red pattern.
Yeah, there's a specific scene where I'm and Marvelous change into all the reds since Juoja.
Sure you did recognize.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool, and the rest of the movie is really great. I thought they did a really masterful job writing around the two actors who didn't have a lot of free time to be in the movie because they're big famous stars now. But the rest of the story was really solid. It felt like a natural pick up with. It didn't feel like we were trying to create a story. It felt like, okay, this story is here, and it is a natural next step for these characters. And there's a lot of really great little callbacks and cameos and moments. Like, just to name some of the ones right off the bat, like there's the main plot of the movie is that the government has put together this sort of like Super Sentai fight club that the civilians can bet on, and like they're using that to fund the military and like the protection of Earth in general. But of course that turns out to actually be a sinister thing. And the announcer for the fights, like kind of the ring announcer, is the guy who voices the Mobirates.
Oh.
And then the commentators are Bosco's actor and the actor for Maggiello / Beatbuster.
Wait, Bosco? They had Bosco in here, but he didn't play Bosco.
Yeah, well, Bosco's dead.
Okay, well, like, that's weird. Like, not even like a ghost. That just feels like.
But they do call attention to it. There's a moment where he has a name that's similar to Bosco. So Bosco? there's a moment where it's like Motsko or something like that. And there's a moment where Maggiello's actor calls him Bosco, and he's like, "My name is not Bosco, it's this." And he's like, "Whatever, Bosco." It's really funny. And then there's also a funny moment with Maggiello's actor where one of the fights is Maggiello and Beatbuster just getting washed by two Showa era suits, and he's like, "Oh, I felt a pang of sadness in my heart from seeing that for some reason."
I knew what this movie was for.
Yeah, and then like right at the beginning, if you're looking, there's a crowd of people that Dawn is in when he's first discovering the fight club and like seeing people bet on it. Two of the people you can see bet on it, and it's not easy to catch because they've grown up a lot since then. But the actresses for Child, Tokyo, Yellow, and Pink. And we also get the big cameo that I kind of lost it over. They bring back the filler kid from episode 2 who steals the Shinken Red Key.
Yeah, that's one of the best.
Yeah, he's like a major supporting character, and
I don't think it's the same actor, but is that
no,
right?
It's the same actor.
Oh.
And like I know because like they flash back and you can see the same facial features on him and everything. And it's a really cool moment when they finally like make it clear, because like I realized it a few scenes beforehand, like he's grown up, but he's not grown up so much that he's unrecognizable. So for like the first 2 scenes with him, I was kind of side-eyeing him, like, I recognize this guy. Why? They're acting like I should know him, but they're not making it explicit. And then like by the 3rd scene with him, I was like, oh, he's that guy. That's really cool that they got him back. And then there's like a big moment with him and Marvelous reuniting. That's like a moment of them making the message of the movie clear by calling back to that filler episode.
What is the message?
It's basically a play on just because somebody stumbles and loses their way doesn't mean they're lost forever. Because there's a huge, for a large swath of the movie, you think the Gokaigers have like broken up and gone their separate ways, and they're all like really sad and bitter towards each other. But that turns out to all be a part of their plan to catch the bad guy. And like the bad guy's plot put together for them. Like they were recruited to reach out to all the Sentai and put together the technology necessary to use the Ranger keys to make this possible. And there's a moment where the kid is like, all this work I did, it turns out it was for evil. I was deceived, and people have been betting on Sentai fights. God, what the hell is wrong with me? Is there any good left on Earth? Is there really any value in this planet? And Marvelous says, yeah, it's all around you. Just take a look at how amazing this planet is. Which is like a direct flip of an exchange they had in that filler episode.
That warms my heart.
Yeah, so like it's a moment of showing just how much the Gokaigers have grown since the beginning of their series.
Yeah. Sounds like a really cool movie.
Yeah, it's great. And like the handling of the power-up is really cool too, because it's basically a substitute for a mecha fight.
You didn't see any mecha.
No, because there isn't a mecha fight. Big spoiler ahead, but it's like right in the first couple minutes of the movie. The Gokai Galleon is destroyed.
Oh, so it's like...
Yeah, and that's like a thing is like, the destruction of the Gokai Galleon is what made the main 5 Gokaigers split up, is what we're told, but it turns out that like they've been going their separate ways to kind of track the people who destroyed the Gokai Galleon, which turns out are the people who have been deceiving Guy and the filler kid. And like the way they get the power up is also really cool, because it's like there's this crystal that looks like one of the crystals from Kira Major that Joe's been saving, and he's like, it's the heart of the Galleon, and I've been saving it for a special occasion, and then it transforms into that Gokai Galleon key, and that's how they get the power up.
Nice.
But yeah, I could talk about this movie for like another hour, but we've got other things to talk about. So I'll just say it's a really damn good movie. Had the exact same feel of the show, and honestly, might have been because it was during such a very volatile time for me. But I did tear up multiple times during the movie. Like it's a perfect follow-up to my favorite TV show of all time. And my only complaint is like, I don't know when I'm gonna see him again, man.
And I used to think if this is their last appearance, they went on a pretty high note.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to tear up their passion for this. But we got other things to do. Ultraman Trigger, New Generation Tiga, Episode 19. What makes a savior? I didn't like this.
I thought it was okay, but you told me before we recorded you have a pretty big rant related to this episode, so why don't you just go ahead and go off?
Okay, so like, spoilers, Tiga makes an appearance in this episode, and it feels so out of nowhere, and I feel nothing when this should be one of the biggest moments in Trigger. Like, my problem with Trigger is that there's all these cool ideas and moments that should hit, but they just don't.
Yeah.
There's no build-up, it's just, here's a thing, and it's just there's no excitement, there's no... I
feel like this whole show is just kneecapped by the whole Johnny's thing. Because, like, I feel like the grandpa professor man was probably at one point supposed to be Tiga's actor.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't get him for whatever reason.
Well, my thing is, I don't care if, like, Daigo isn't my thing is, it's just, even as its own show, it's just not that great. Like, it's that moment I can guarantee was probably neat. But, like, everything
all
else...
the hypest moments in this show have been crossovers. Zed's appearance, the Reboot's appearance, and now this. Like, I thought that moment was pretty hype once we got into it, But the initial moment of like, Dad, your spark, you have your own special spark that you can use to awaken a dream. I was like, wait, what is going on? And then when Tiga appeared, my brain kind of just shut off and went, oh my god, it's Tiga. They're doing the same moves and they're using the BGM from Tiga. This is awesome.
I just felt like, I'm sorry.
I mean, we had that thing going around where, like, it was a couple days ago, you and me both quote retweeted it. Somebody had tweeted just asking for general opinions on Tiga, and I think I said something to the effects of, like, it has the makings of a really good show, but it just can't capitalize on them. Because the main character is interesting in his base motivations, but we've just barely given him anything beyond that, aside from just reaffirming those motivations over again. The sidecast are all really interesting, but they rarely get time to shine. And the plot is kind of hard to get into unless you're like a diehard Tiga fan.
Even just a mess. It should, like, new generation to the Tiga anniversary show during the 55th year of Ultra. This should a banger show, one of the best. Instead, it's like so frustratingly mid. I don't like using that word, but that's how Trigger makes me.
Yeah, like I said, I enjoyed the actual Tiga team up sequence because the best strength of the biggest strength of this show has always been that the action and effects are just spectacular. Like, it's Koichi Sakamoto at his finest, but action and effects alone can't carry a tokusatsu.
Yeah, it just the story behind this show was like, it feels like we're wasting time on things like weird plots instead of actually developing and fleshing out our characters.
I feel like I'm just being more lenient towards it because I'm a real Ultra series novice compared to you.
I mean, like, I haven't watched every Ultra series, but like I've seen a chunk of this.
I'd say you probably watched about as much Ultraman as I have Kamen Rider.
Yeah, that's but that was, man, that just basically everything. If you want to know all my problems with Trigger and eat the positives that the show is,
yeah,
to me. But anyway, let's move on to superhero time. Kamen Rider Revice, episode 12. Weakness is strength, the unbeatable Jenny. This was one of the best Revice episodes.
Yeah, this was fantastic. Perfect follow-up to the previous week's episode, and just great debut for Jenny, and kind of completing Sakura's initial arc of allowing her to grow into her own character and be watch out, everybody. I'm going to say a big feminist buzzword here. Sakura is a strong female protagonist.
Yeah. I do like how, like, her becoming a writer doesn't, like, close off all the arc, all the possibilities of her character.
No, there's so many places they can still go with her. She's not fully solidified yet.
And that's what makes her debut exciting. It's like, oh, she still has lots of stuff to do. See, like, yeah, she does have lots of stuff to do. It's very exciting. The writer even admitted that, like, he's really excited to write for Sakura because, like,
yeah, didn't he say initially he wanted Revice himself to be a female writer?
Yeah, I think, like, Revi was like he wanted Revi to be she, which, like, hey, I had that idea.
Yeah. And man, like, this debut and, like, this character is such a strong first impression that, like, as I said earlier in the show, I honestly think this might be the best female writer we've ever had. Not counting Tackle, because Tackle isn't officially counted as a writer, unfortunately.
Yet. I mean,
but, like,
the stronger Reboot will come.
Yeah. My for the longest time, I've said there's been good female writers, but there's also been all predominantly very poorly written female writers. Like, I wanted to like Makira, I think is how you pronounce it, from Gaim, Marika, but man, they shit the bed with her.
Yeah, even as I like Gaim, I'll admit that wasn't. Everything
I've heard about Sabala is not promising. I like Poppy, but she's not a particularly amazing character. And honestly, until this episode, I thought the best female writer we had was Kamen Rider Mage from Wizard.
Of course you do. Wizard chill.
Yeah. But no, this is just really strong, not just like female character, but superhero in general introduction.
Lovely Cock just gets introduced as like, just, oh yeah, protect her. It's like, who? It's like, that's my demon. What's what I used to be, and it's just this big plush toy.
Which is a very stereotypical female character thing to do for Japan, but it works just fine.
Yeah, especially because Lovely Cock is so adorable.
Mm-hmm.
Or Lovely Cobb. I think Lovely Cobb.
Love Cobb is what I was saying. But
also,
yeah, and
like her dynamic with Vice.
and it gives Vice something to do outside of just butting in and saying dumb jokes in the middle of serious fights.
Yeah, he does get more things to do in the next episode. We have to talk about.
Yeah.
The overall thoughts. 12.
Great episode.
Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger, episode 37. Revenge of the Raffle Radishes. What did you?
This was an okay filler.
Honestly, this one of the weakest Zenkaiger episodes. It's not bad. It's just
it's Zenkaiger week, which means it's good. It's just not standout.
Honestly, like I was like, oh, a Flint and Magine episode is gonna rock, and
it's a very Showa kind of Sentai plot of just helping out the kid of the week.
It's fine. Nothing like even those that are just like I was watching some Gokaiger, and there was a really standout kid.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
have you gotten to the episode where Joe and Guy have to help that? Yeah, that's
this week. Next week we'll put back in all.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Well, the week is it. Alright. Kamen Revice, the movie. For those who don't know, this is a preview showcase what Revice is before Superhero Senki in theaters. Which Revice does make a cameo in.
It's basically episode 3.5, but also because it's written before the rest of the show, it feels like a prologue.
Yeah, it feels like a pilot, like something a proof of concept. Well, like this. Honestly, I think this would be way more hype if we didn't watch Revice.
Yeah, which is how it's meant to be viewed. It just didn't end up that way for us poor Americans.
Yeah, it was fine. But...
Yeah, I liked it. It's extremely action heavy, but most of the action is pretty cool. It's just there's
the playground set.
Yeah, it's just there's not a lot of actual story content to talk about.
Also, I do like the scene at the end where like Vice and Revy are back.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, now I just realized that's totally what they were going for with that SH Figuarts reveal. Like that's a direct reference to that.
Yeah, because like a lot of the promo images, they were like promo video they show was I do like nothing really. It was basically just like here's what Revice is. This is what we're aiming for Revice. Please give us your.
It was a fun way to kill a half hour.
But really, it's really for me. It's just to check off a completion box to see you've watched all of them. Yeah, this makes me interested in what they're gonna do.
Yeah, which will probably be next week. I want to be optimistic and say we'll have it next week.
A lot of clips are floating around Twitter.
I haven't watched any of them. I'm trying to say relatively spoiler-free.
Yeah, I'm just gonna mention. But anyway, back to regular Revice. Kamen Revice, episode 13. Phoenix escaping crisis by a hair's breadth. This was another banger episode. Really like that Vice actually got to do.
Yeah, seeing Vice got oh god, what was the term I was going to use? I was going to make a dumb reference to
Real boy body.
Not real boy body. Vice got his materialization. But no, yeah, it's a solid episode. It very much feels like we're gearing up for the other shoe dropping. We're very quickly kind of raising the stakes here, which is enjoyable in its own right, but it definitely does feel like a gear shift from the last couple episodes.
Fine, we get the power up. I can't know. Yeah. It kind of makes me wish that like Stamp's gonna do.
And I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I hated the way that suit looked in scans, but in motion, it looks pretty badass.
Yeah, like it usually scans low quality all these other. But yeah, pretty good debut for the new suit. I really like that Vice kind of like Vice and Ikki got like another great like. Also, we haven't mentioned really good these.
Has he though? Like fucking episode 12. Like I didn't mind him this episode because I felt like he was played more for comedy. But in episode 12, he has that weird moment in the beginning where he's talking about being bullied, and I'm like, where the fuck did this come from? I feel like we're randomly trying to shove in backstory for him because we just forgot about it.
Well, like I feel like that's part of like his social awkwardness because to me it's kind of like a stoic, he appears stoic, but like he's a bit like of a we kind of see like Vice.
Also, I think my favorite moment in the whole episode was just getting to see Sakura have to take on evil by herself. Oh, and her mom flipping out and trying to confiscate the driver. That's really cool. I like that they're still having issues with the parents here and there.
Also, the big reveal of the episode, the commander's a dead man or a monster.
He's a secret asshole.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, he already kind of looked a bit jerkish.
Yeah, I figured either both him and George were gonna be secret assholes, or he was just gonna be a stoic commander stuck in the background for the longest time.
Yeah, like
Or God, what's his name? Frickin' Commander Man from Trigger is basically what I was expecting him to be.
01.
Yeah. Like I was expecting that kind of thing, or like maybe both him and Demons were gonna die when the other shoe drops.
I kind of hope, like, now that you mentioned that, I kind of hope that, like, Demons gets, like, if he does die, I hope he gets a blurry death.
I feel like that's what it's going to be. I feel like there's going to be a moment when, in the next couple episodes, because we've already seen the Deadmans target Phoenix directly, I feel like the other shoe dropping is going to be the Phoenix headquarters getting destroyed because of an attack, and, like, George and Commander Man doing something stupid.
Because actually, the Phoenix is destroyed in the opening.
Also, yeah, that's right. Okay. I wasn't sure what you were talking about. I was like, wait, it's still there at the end of the episode.
He's also, like, he looks a bit devilish. Is that going to be a part?
And let's not forget, because we forgot to talk about it a couple episodes ago, I think it was the episode after it was Live's debut episode, and then they showed it again in the movie, Iki disappearing from the family photograph Back to the Future style. That's still a thing we don't know quite anything about.
Yeah, does making a deal with the demon erase your humanity?
In which case, is that going to happen to Daji and Sakura as well?
A lot of exciting things coming in Revice, but for now we got one of the best in a while. Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger episode 38, Meet the Ancestors, All Spirits Assemble.
That is such a Kamen Rider Ghost-ass title.
Just anything to do with spirits, you're just like, Ghost! I'm back.
Ghost is my trigger.
Anyway, yeah, I like this episode a lot. I like funny Jured with glasses they call his grandfather.
Yeah, I was impressed they made a whole extra suit. I thought it was going to be like weird cutting back and forth camera tricks.
Yeah, I think they have like multiple suits standby, so they're like, hey, let's just put one of these, give him like funny glasses.
Zox's ancestor was great too, because it was a really cool way to show how much he's grown as a character.
Yeah. Also just like, like the old ways of piracy.
And of course, I think the biggest thing with this episode, frickin' Stacy.
Oh, every scene of Stacy's mom, I wanted to cry. I was like, poor boy. Also,
and like, full confirmation, Stacy and Kaito don't have the same mom. It's a different actress.
Yeah. Also, I really like Kaiser and Denkaiser teaming up to save Stacy. Yeah.
Also, like, I don't know about you, but I've never heard hahawe as a word for mother in Japanese. I wonder what the specific contextual reason for that is. Somebody let us know in the comments.
We love learning. Yeah, this was a pretty great comedic and emotional, and it makes me even more excited for next week, a banger.
Yeah, that next episode looks like the big party before the final arc episode, so I'm pretty excited for it. Especially because I found out for the first time in a little while, new Toei character that has my same problem of having a birthday that's way too close to Christmas.
Yeah.
Because I hardcore related to Tomari during Kamen Rider Drive because of that shit, and now I get to relate to Kaito because of that shit. What did you say?
Shinosuke.
Yeah, Shinosuke is my boy.
Yeah, honestly, Kaito does give me Shinosuke vibes, but in a bit more like a...
Yeah, because Kaito's much more of a happy-go-lucky guy than Shinosuke is.
I would say Kaito's one of the best happy-go-lucky, because usually those character archetypes could end up poorly alienating the adult audience, but he's been on the positive.
Yeah, I feel like the last one I saw is Lucky from Q Ranger, and nobody likes him. And I'm one of them.
Hey, same.
Hey, yeah, we're friends! Woo!
Yeah.
But no, this is a great episode.
And then I've been doing old stuff, but I kind of want to keep it secret. I mean, I don't feel like talking. So Mac, go ahead, blab about Kamen Rider Wizard on Shuffle.
Yeah. So if you've seen my Wizard video, you know one of the things I say about it in that is that Wizard is my perfect comfort food show. And I had to really put that to the test this last week. There was a moment where I was predominantly watching Star Wars animated content I hadn't seen before during the break, but one night I was just like, You know, I really want to watch some random episodes of Wizard, so I just like put together a list of like 10 episodes after putting it through a random number generator, and it was a good time. I still love that show a lot. I everything I've said about it, I could just say it again, but I'm not going to bore people. But a couple days after that, family was needing a bit of a pick me up after the service, so. I was sent out to get dinner, and the place they wanted dinner from happened to be just a little past the local toy store here. So I asked, and I was allowed to pop in there for a little bit before I came home. And it was a pretty lucky trip because they happened to have just gotten in the latest wave of Lightning collection. So I am now the proud owner of the Hasbro Power Rangers Lightning Collection Database Ranger.
Yeah, finally, get the big time.
Yeah, aka the Phantom Ranger. Because if you haven't watched Database Ranger's Power Reviews, A, I just gave you a big spoiler for it. B, you should be watching it. It's one of the best Power Ranger review shows on the internet.
And I argue best Power Rangers fanfic. How did I?
Oh, I think it totally counts.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I am very impressed with this figure. I was expecting just a plain black body with a few overlay pieces, and a new head. But no, this looks like it's almost entirely original parts to me. There's a lot of really nice, intricate, sculpted, weathered detail and wrinkles to the undersuit. The armored padding is really nicely done. How like certain parts of it have a shiny finish compared to the matte finish of the undersuit. All the silver details of like the straps and buckles and whatnot are really crisply painted, which is not something you can say for every Lightning Collection figure, so I was pretty impressed with that. And the articulation is about as good as any other Lightning Collection figure I've picked up. The only little nitpick I have with it is that the ankles on mine are a touch loose, although that's just within one detent. So posing him can be a little bit of a hassle until you particularly figure out how to work around that certain detent. But overall, I think it's a great release. It's still weird that they labeled this as in space instead of turbo, but the effects parts feel really appropriate. I love his blaster accessory, and I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure this is the first Lightning Collection figure to have two uniform sets of hands instead of just having like 3 or 4 random hands for different sides. Like he comes with 2 fists, 1 for each arm, and 2 holding things hands, 1 for each arm, which was not something I was particularly OCD about, but I know a lot of collectors have had that complaint with Lightning Collection for a long time, especially coming from the Figuarts side of things. Where every type of hands, except for maybe 1 or 2, you have 1 for the left arm and 1 for the right arm, except for like 1 or 2 special specific hands. Like you're not going to give Kuuga 2 thumbs up, you're just going to give it for the 1 arm he always gives the thumbs up with. So I think this is a fantastic release. It's the only figure from this wave I'm going to be picking up. But it's a really great figure, so if you were looking forward to it and you haven't gotten yours, I'd say you're in for a good time. And if you haven't pre-ordered one, or you're just on the fence about it, I'd say it's worth the pickup. Really, really solid Lightning Collection figure, and not necessarily a top 10 of the year contender as far as like my overall collecting goes, but definitely one of the better figures I've picked up recently.
You also got classic.
Yeah, I got one of my actual grails because I don't know if I've talked about it on this podcast before, but it wasn't my first season, but the first season of Power Rangers I watched in full, and thusly the first tokusatsu I watched in full and as it was airing, was Power Rangers SPD. I have a lot of nostalgia for that show and a lot of love for it. I think it still holds up except for a few small things here and there. And like, even as somebody who, in my modern goings, is highly critical of the police in the real world, I think it's a great idealized kids show about space police. And so I've always wanted to get all the roleplay toys and most of the Megazords from the show. I could take or leave the one that turns into the giant motorcycle, but I definitely want the Delta Megazord and the SWAT Megazord and the Supreme Base Megazord. Those are all ones I really want.
You really need to do a Zap, like HasLab Zap.
Yeah, and of course, I've always wanted, as I said, I've always wanted the roleplay toys. When I went to the one and only Power Morphicon I've been to, I actually found the Delta Blasters, which are the guns the Red Ranger has, in perfect condition. So those have been like a treasured item in my collection ever since. And now finally, I have a new addition to my SPD roleplay collection. I have the Delta Morpher, which is the morpher used by all 5 of the main team, and it's a really fun, kitschy little toy. I love how, like, I don't know if you can hear this, but, like, it's very clicky. It has a lot of, like, really nice springs to it, and nothing on it except for, like, a few bits of paint here and there that honestly aren't a super big deal to me. Like, it's the kind of wear and tear that makes it feel like it has character rather than just looking like it's a bad copy of the toy. It feels like a really good fidget toy because it doesn't have a lot of light and sound functionality because it's a toy from 2004, and this was at the time when they were just directly porting over to Japanese toys. But what functionality it has does still work and is in perfect condition. And like a great thing about this is I got this toy for $50. Usually it goes for 100 to 150 on eBay if the seller knows the lights and sounds are working. But my local toy store, whenever they sell toys with lights and sounds, they don't have time to test everything, so they just price everything like the lights and sounds don't work. So I got a really good deal on this thing because immediately when I got home, I put AAA's in it, and oh, I'm sorry, I just hit the button, so the sounds do work. Let's see if you can hear this.
I can hear like a beep, but not really.
Okay, well, again, it's a speaker from 2004, so it's kind of quiet. But yeah, it's a really fun toy. Like especially for the time. I love the flip open and how strong the spring still is. There was like for the first couple days I had this thing, I was like just absent-mindedly playing with it like it was an actual fidget toy. And yeah, I'm super stoked to have this thing. It's the only thing I've gotten this year that's like vintage and I could consider a legitimate Grail level get. So very happy to have it. Totally made my day. And yeah, that's everything I have to talk about. So Buster, unless you want to bring up stuff on last minute.
The only thing I'm bringing up is that I'm currently going through Kamen Rider 1971 because people like I set up a Ko-fi, but like finally took some money off my hand. One of the big goals, the first goal I had was if we get $20, I'll do Kamen Rider 19 after. We hit that goal in like 20 minutes. My friends are crazy.
Also, I think you set that goal way too low.
Like I probably did, but like I didn't know people were gonna do coffee buys. Like I didn't know people do bulk, and I kind of did want to do that like a while, just of making videos for a bit. Because if you see more filler content,
yeah. See, I would have put that like I didn't even know you could do goals on Ko-fi. That must be like a relatively new thing.
Yeah, it's semi-new.
I would have put that at like $50 or $100.
Like I guess I was like, well, people mostly like me for my comment. And if I just want, I'll do a show us 1971's.
Well, fair enough. You absolute mad lass. That should be a really interesting video.
Yeah, I am planning to touch on like every episode. Even like, it should be like 20 minutes. You never know. I tend to condense this more than I. But yeah, that's all I got. Should I show my stuff?
Yeah, let's go ahead and close it out, bud.
Alright, hi, I'm Buster Corp. I do video essays on the internet. You will find I am currently weird about my upload schedule, because I
primarily due to what we just talked about.
That and also college, but like, yeah, it's all funky and weird, and I don't know what I'm doing, to be honest, but, you know, I'm gonna keep doing it. So, you can find my video essays on a variety of topics, Fukasatsu, cartoon, stupid, all sorts, yeah. And also you can find me on Twitter, @Buster. Also, yeah, I have the Ko-Fi now. Check out my Ko-Fi. Give me money. Next goal I currently have is Bionicle Retrospect.
Nice. Well, everyone, I am the Vacuuminator. I make video essays about tokusatsu and occasionally other things. You can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/c/thevacuuminator, which is spelled TheVacuuminator. I'm also on Twitter tweeting about anything and everything I want to talk about at the Vacuuminator. And I'm on Instagram posting photos of toys and other occasional things I find interesting at _Vacuuminator. But that is it. That is everything from the last 2 weeks. We've finally made it to the end of this episode. Thank you all for joining us for This Week in Tokusatsu. We hope you will be back here with us next week to find out, well, whatever happens that week in Tokusatsu.